was just another, as I said, sometimes overlapping style. What is there about Rococo? Well, they didn't drastically change this look, but there are more curvilinear lines and there's naturalistic motifs. Oh, sometimes it's inside a house that's not Rococo. They're not going to change the shape of the house. This is another historic house. I'm taking you mostly in historic houses. But what's interesting inside the Milligan house is, see, this is classical, and these chairs are, I can't see clearly whether they're Gothic or Renaissance, but the hallway is clearly Renaissance. But we get to the parlor here, and this is all frilly and flowery, and you see this is the kind of thing. Flowers all over the place, no longer abstract flowers, as we had seen in English arts and crafts, no longer stylized geometrical. This is an explosion. The architecture of the interior hasn't changed, but we've seen also everything is going to have more fringe and more over decoration. And this was just another shot of it taken earlier. And this is the room in the Metropolitan Museum, and I'm sorry the caption came out, cockeye, with furniture by John Henry Belter, and I'll tell you about him in the next image. Here's a close-up of this. What do you see about this? Somebody? You see the decoration? Can you see yellow through? What does that mean? It's open work.
Cut out.
It's like lace. Belter developed a process and patented a process for, it was bent wood. It's laminated rosewood. So layers of rosewood, which is an expensive luxury wood, he bent it and then it's carved. So partly machine, the bending is by machine and the carving is by hand. And there are these incredibly elaborate, either you think they're charming or they are very over the top. But anything like this done well is going to be Belter because it was his patented process. And here's a detail of this. And the tete-a-tete, incidentally, was a very Victorian era piece. A couple of the students who went to the Met, oh, you have to give me your reports. But a couple of the students mentioned the pieces of furniture that existed then that we don't have now. The tete-a-tete is, you know, each one of you sit facing in another direction, but you can talk through it. Another piece that existed only in the Victorian era, and we see it once in a while in theaters, it's a big cushion piece with it's round, and there is a backrest that's round in the center of it. Have you ever seen it?
Mm-hmm.
You can all sit around it. It would be something you'd put in a lobby or in a very large parlor, and people would sit in the center and surround it. There are elements, pieces of furniture like that that nobody has a need for anymore. But anyway, you'll see from the back of this, the back of these pieces is flat. Only the front surface is carved, because for the most part, it's only the front surface you're going to be looking at. And the legs are curved, so the legs are a little bit cabriolet. But these are whimsical pieces with a great deal of skill required to make them. Now, here's a piece that maybe overdoes it, maybe more than the others. This is the magenta, the kind of color that you could never have seen before this time. Magenta or a very mossy green or, well, fuchsia, chartreuse, that kind of color would not have been able to be made before this. This is a wonderful piece. You're going to see this going to the Brooklyn Museum. And they're displaying it against the kind of background of overly effusive, explosive, explosive floral wallpaper that they would have used as a background. One of the things that distinguishes a lot of the 19th century rooms is every surface decorated, but in a different way from the every surface decorated in the Baroque interiors that I showed you in Italy. Less for ostentation, less to impress everybody, and more because they just liked all of it. And you could do it, you know, you could have the wallpaper and the carving and the extra decoration and the patterned fabric, and it was all pretty, so why not have it all? Alexander Root was another manufacturer, perhaps a little more high-end than J&J Meeks, but a manufacturer of objects like this. Now, what makes it Rococo? Curved here. They're not going to curve the sides necessarily. You see all of the ornament being, and the openwork carving here, and the dead birds, because this was a dining room buffet. So it's an appropriate motif. We saw that. I think I showed you in the restaurant. And another one by J&J Meeks, where it's made by a major manufacturer. I'm giving the name. Not all of them are pieces you're going to have to know. I would be more likely to ask you to name a couple of manufacturers and prepare it, or I give you a list of names and say which one doesn't belong. I don't think it's critical that you know that this piece was done by J&J Meeks. I think it's nice for you to know that J&J Meeks and Rue were manufacturers in the time of the, middle 19th century. Okay, what